Welcome back to East Hartford, Connecticut, the Pratt & Whitney Stadium, as the USA are drawing 0-0 at half-time with Peru, as Will Trapp calls the players together for one last little pep talk ahead of the second half. One of the debutants, Jonathan Amon, there. And Peru are going to make one substitution. There are quite a lot allowed, and Advincula, who had got booked in the first half, and that's probably the reason for this, will be replaced by Johan Madrid, who will come on to make his debut for Peru in the second half. That's a like-for-like switch. He'll go straight in at right back. Ian Dark and Taylor Twelman with you for this game, the latest in a daunting series of fixtures this year in 2018 for this experimental US side, who are having to learn on their feet really as they go along, particularly young men like him, Josh Sargent, only 18 years of age. Second half to come here. It's the 7th appearance for the US at this venue. It's become quite a popular one. The US wearing all dark blue tonight get us underway at the start of the second half. Got the impression from Dave Sarakan that he wanted much better in the second period from his conversation with Seb Salazar before he went down to address the team. Certainly want to keep the ball better, but it's proving easier said than done, to be honest, isn't it, Taylor?
Yeah, I would agree with it, but I think Dave Sarakan's right. I do think part of the balance, though, that hasn't been there for the United States is the Delgado Acosta in front of Will Trapp. At times, I think all three are in the same position. At times, one of them isn't in the right spot to release that pressure for the back four. I think the key is those three in the midfield. Whereas on the other side for Peru, everything through the middle, they're switching the point of attack. Their three in the midfield have been bossing the game, so to speak, and really putting some pressure on the United States defensively.
Tartavica's ball out is not quite accurate enough, and here come Peru again with Tardo. Peru in the all red outfit. Country on the west side of South America, a population of 32 million. Is Sargent breaking onto this one. Good turn from him there. Clever piece of play, and Weah arriving and might well have put the US ahead. Nice move.
Yeah, but a big part of this is the ability of Jonathan Amon to get in some spaces and allow Josh Sargent and Timothy Weah to get some spacing, and too much of it's been played in front of the back four of Peru and not in behind, and using the pace and the youthfulness to this front four attack for the United States. Good look from Jonathan Amon to play that ball in behind for Josh Sargent.
It's another classy touch though, wasn't it? That by Sargent. Looks pretty composed around the penalty area when he picks the ball up.
Well, you and I were talking about, how about his first touch against Colombia Thursday night? Remember, the first touch was a turn to square up and face the defender 1v1. That's the one thing, even at a young age, he's very good with his back to goal and finding himself the half a yard to then open it and get forward. Not everything's with his back to goal all the time.
Amon and Cannon linking quite well. Here is Cannon. Finds Amon again. And that looked like a foul and will be given as such, as Amon is sent tumbling by Carlens.
Oh, and like we saw Peru in the first half, I think it's key that the fullbacks of the United States get forward. We need to see a little bit more of Reggie Cannon getting forward, and then it's going to open up space for the wingers in front of them.
Well, they work long and hard on these set pieces. Let's see if they can produce a dividend from this one. Acosta in charge of all these set pieces. This cut back, and Sargent scores! Deflected on the way through, but Josh Sargent, and that was straight off the training ground, that move, and it's produced a goal for the US. Teenager Josh Sargent, 1-0 to the USA.
For the last 10 minutes of training yesterday, they worked on dangerous set pieces in the final third from 25 yards out, from 30 yards, but also inside the 18 yards. And a big part of it was driving 3 or 4 runs to that near post. And if Josh Sargent peel around and come to that 18, the pace of the ball from Acosta, little deflection here, but is in his 5th cap for the United States. Josh Sargent does what he's done at every single level, and that is put the ball in the back of the net. His 2nd goal for the red, white, and blue.
It's his goal already. Did take a deflection off Renato Tapia, but that was on target, so it's Sargent's goal, and I think he's going to get a few in his career. He's got 6 in 10 games for Werder Bremen's 2nd team. That is the 4th tier in Germany, but that one will feel like gold dust to him. And it'll be especially pleasing for Dave Sarakan and his coaching team that all the hard work on the training ground paid off when it mattered in the match. Really nicely fashioned, that goal. How do Peru respond to that, I wonder? The US getting the payoff as well for sticking with it and staying tight when they were seeing little of the ball in that first half.
Yeah, but there's also a little bit more energy, a little bit more bite to this team in the second half.
Will trap. Acosta. Inside towards Weah again. Is Delgado. Most of what he does is quite thoughtful, Delgado. And he does simply know where the space is, which is nice. And so too does this fella, Sargent. Looks a player, does Josh Sargent. I'm not just saying that because he scored. There's 1 or 2 other things he's done tonight that have taken the eye.
Yeah, but one of the ways you can see whether or not a player has that 6th sense, so to speak, inside the 18 is during finishing parts of practice. How often do they hit the target? How often are they missing the goal? And when you watch Josh Sargent, even Ernie Stewart said this to me yesterday, 9 out of 10 chances, they're on goal. They're making the goalie make a save. They're on frame. He's not wasting chances over the top. And that's when you know a true sign of whether or not that player's got the capability of scoring goals at a high level.
Yeah. He knows where the back of the net is, all right. Here's Tapia. It was off his shin, I think, that the ball went in the end. There's Peña looking to make progress down the right-hand side. There will be a corner here for Peru.
He just looks comfortable. Josh Sargent does at 18, inside the 18, and he never looks like he's rattled. He's comfortable with the ball at both feet. He's comfortable with his back to goal, turning. He's one to watch.
Carlens was waiting to get a header in, but again the defending was pretty good back there. And remember, that defense only has 6 caps between the 4 of them.
Great work from Timothy Weah.
Yep, I think the kids are learning. You know, they've faced a lot of difficult exams and they've not passed all of them this year, but as they're going along, they're making improvements and amendments.
That's a good take, though, Ian, because what people don't realize is you look at the first half and it wasn't pretty, but then how did the players react? You go in at halftime, you catch your breath, you get your legs under you. Now, what do you do coming out at the beginning parts of this second half? And we've already seen it 8 minutes in. The United States has been better.
And with the payoff of a goal as well. Referee gives a yellow card to Timothy Weah, who seems dumbfounded about that. But, he's in the book anyway. Sargent looks to pick him up. There seems to be a good understanding between those two, I've noticed. They seem to be mates. I noticed they stayed together and trained for about another 20 minutes by themselves after training yesterday. Just little keepy-uppies and little volleys to each other and so on.
Yeah, but they're 18. They don't get tired yet. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
They could train for 4 hours a day.
Well, I'm told Weah stays behind 2 hours every day at Paris Saint-Germain. Julian Green is going to be introduced now. 23. Had a good game against Mexico when he came on as the substitute. Had quite a bit of craft. It was a win for the US that night. And he's going to replace 19-year-old Jonathan Amon, who did one or two good things early on, but his debut's only going to last for 54 minutes. There'll be other chances. Green, of course, famously a scorer for the US at the 2014 World Cup in Brazil against Belgium. Fair to say it's been a checkered career for him since then, but he's getting a little run as part of this squad now, and has put in some better performances, I think, of late.
Keep an eye on Aaron Long. Whoa.
That, how strange was that? From Kellyn Acosta, who's kind of dug up half. He's dug up half the pitch over there. Trying to take that corner. His stud's caught in the turf. That's going to be in some collection later. What happened next?
That looked like you with your 8-iron the other day.
Yeah, well, it wasn't that good even. Shouldn't laugh, but it was quite funny. I think he's going to get a bill from the groundsman, isn't he?
I'm wondering if this setup changes a little bit for the United States with Julian Green coming in. I'm thinking Marky Delgado may play wide right, and you have Acosta, Will Trapp. This may look more and more like a 4-4-2 with Weah and Delgado in those wide positions with Amon coming out.
Ramos to play it forward. It's not properly cut out, but now it is. Karen Carter-Vickers, whose dad, Howard Carter, was a big basketball star for Louisiana State way back when. Carter-Vickers' mum is English, speaks with an English accent as well, but he likes his American roots and he wants to play for the USA. Loyola to play it back, which reminds me, of course, that the USA's next game after this is at Wembley against England. First time the two countries will have met since the 2010 World Cup. Here's Hurtado. Wonder who'll be on the sidelines and coaching for that game then, because the next appointment, it's scheduled to have been made by then.
I still think, no matter who the coach is, I still think that man right there, Dave Sarachan, will be on the sidelines for that U.S.-England game and the U.S.-Italy game that would be played in Belgium, if I'm not mistaken. I think Dave Sarachan will see the job out, and the new manager will start January.
The candidates might include, and we've heard the criteria might be like about 150 games coaching in Major League Soccer, so maybe we can have a look at just some of the people who might be involved. Yeah, there we are. Have a talk through that.
And those are some of the candidates that you're talking about. I'm not sure the criteria is 150 games, Ian, but you are correct in the sense that if you look at it, English speaking, obviously, so a lot of people, including myself, think Tata Martino should be in there. But when you look at the candidates that the criteria they're looking at and the way this process is played out, here are your 6 candidates that would fall in that. And when you look at the favorite, Greg Berhalter, the numbers do stand out a little bit, how different they are compared to the other 5 candidates. But you just saw a great picture of that. And to my surprise, and I think a lot of people, Josh Wolf was asked, the current assistant coach of the Columbus Crew, was asked to be the assistant coach for this camp.
Yes, that's quite intriguing. You could see it that way. It might be nothing more to it, but we like to look for these little plots here and there. It's part of what we do.
Well, what else are we going to do in our hotel room for 23 hours?
Yeah.
But he's not the first, just so people at home think. Josh Wolf isn't the first current MLS assistant. C.J. Brown last camp was in for the U.S.-Brazil game at the MetLife.
So it just could be one of those things. We'll soon know anyway, I think. favourite, Greg Berhalter, in charge of Columbus Crew, and Wolf is his assistant. There he is. Jordi Reyna has come on instead of Hurtado, who's had a couple of knocks tonight. So they've made that change. Covering to do here. They'd love a clean sheet, the US here, against this Peruvian attack. Played a lot of quite nice stuff without creating an awful lot, Peru, truth to tell. Carter Vickers with the challenge. On Rui Diaz, who's down. Painful one. Just caught him with, I think, with the stud there on those boots, which tend to be a bit thinner these days. That's why we're getting a few more metatarsal injuries, which can be nasty and go on for a couple of months, maybe more. But he's all right, I think. Raul Ruiz of Seattle Sounders. Sergio Peña to play this in for Peru. One of the many Mexican league players around the Peru
spot here, Ian, isn't it? Because when you look at the wall that Bragazan is setting up, and look at where Will Trapp is on that near post, if that line doesn't stay high, if anyone drops for the United States, this is a nightmare for a goalkeeper. If that ball's delivered with pace right in front of him, this is a nightmare.
It's Andy Polo who's going to take this, the Portland Timbers player as well. He gets it right, it's difficult. He didn't get it right. It was a poor one, frankly. Blocked by Julian Green, and he had to get that into the danger area. It was a bit of a brainless free kick, I thought, didn't you, that?
Well, it was a little surprising as well, with Marky Delgado coming off that wall. I think Andy Polo saw that and took the chance at that near post.
And look at this from the US, playing out from the back, almost well, Manchester City-like, including Brad Gazan joining in. The Leopards are having to change their spots among the goalkeepers, a bit the way the game's going these days. Sweeper, keeper and all that. Again, Sargent's flicked little layoff. Played inside. Here's Rui Diaz with the layoff. He's waiting in the middle, so too is Flores as the cross comes in. Again, Carter Vickers is in the right place to get it away. Here's Green. Sargent with a slightly different role by the look of it since the substitution was made, but only slightly different.
Yeah, I think Green's playing up front with them, and it is more of a 4-4-2 from the United States, with Green playing next to Sargent up front.
Guzan having to be quick. Brad Guzan has made it clear that although he will be 38 by the time of the next World Cup, he's in contention and wants to stay part of it and go for it. Way around the corner, good ball, Green. Sargent deep, waiting on the back post. Improved performance from the US in the second half, upping the tempo, keeping the ball better. Back to Trapp. And Acosta. In fact, it's much, much better from the US. It's not just a bit better, it's a lot better. Loyola to do the covering, and he did that well with great composure. The left back. Inside by Flores, but the US hunting the ball and win it again. Acosta to play it forward.
That's the thing that has stood out to me in the second half, Ian, is exactly that, is the recognition and the hunting that you're talking about. The pressure immediately when the ball turns over. I just feel like Acosta and Will Trapp have been on the same page, much better in the second half defensively than they were the first. Peru trying to push forward again. Good
pressure on the ball there from Trapp, who's leading the side. A bit more about him now from Sebastian Salazar.
Well, Ian Taylor asked me before the game, keep an eye on Trapp and kind of his work in front of the American back line. Well, in that first half, he was just outnumbered. Hurtado, Ruidíaz, Flores, they were all sitting in front of that American back line and finding the space, finding those pockets. At the end of the first half, Trapp and Marky Delgado came over to the sideline and talked to Dave Sarachan. Ever since then, Acosta and Delgado have been more in line with Trapp, maybe giving a little bit more protection to what is now the American back four.
Yep, thanks a lot. I've noticed that. Just needs help in there. Otherwise, it's a lot of work to cover. And the shape really should be changing anyway, depending on who has the ball.
Especially in that position of the field, in that position tactically. But the question for Will Trapp, and I think this United States national team, is when everyone's fit, when you've got Weston McKennie, Tyler Adams, Will Trapp, Kellen Acosta, what does that formation look like? And at times we've seen with Dave Sarachan at the helm that it's been Will Trapp alone at that defensive midfield spot. I think we need to see Tyler Adams in that spot, maybe next to Will Trapp, maybe in there by himself, and see if that changes it. But there are a lot of different formulas that the new manager can play with. And if it is Greg Berhalter, which all signs point to that, Will Trapp's a huge part of that success in Columbus, and he's gotten the most out of Will Trapp in his career so far at the club level.
I think it's fair to say Will Trapp is hoping Greg Berhalter does get the job for obvious reasons. Can't quite feed that through to Reina, but I think is there a hand in there? There's a free kick given here to Peru centrally and in a dangerous area. Kellen Acosta wants a word with the referee from El Salvador about that. Check it out. Yeah, handball. More changes coming up, and there will be quite a few of them as usual in friendlies. Good player coming on now too. Yoshimar Yotun of Orlando City is one of the key players for Peru at the World Cup. He's winning his 80th cap here tonight, and he'll go into the midfield. And another change will bring on Pedro Aquino. This is the player who scored twice from the bench in the win over Chile the other night in the 3-0 win. He's got an eye for goal. Another of the World Cup squad. So I think this is strengthening Peru. Tapia it is who'll make way. So I think a bit of extra threat. Looks like Jordi Reina might want to hit this with his right foot. All this from a rather nondescript handball as Reina hasn't got that right. Couldn't make it dip in time. Not a threat to Brad Guzan. Is Delgado. Just a little nudge on him, and I think Peru looking a little rattled since the goal went in. I think they felt, although it was goalless, that they were sort of in control of things and maybe it would all happen for them. But the US are asking some more serious questions. Green in there just to sit behind a little and pick some passes up front. Former Bayern Munich player, now playing in the second division in Germany with Greuther Fürth. See Bobby Wood coming on to play up front, and Josh Sargent, we understand, will be coming off. That'll be a disappointment, I think, to a lot of us, and maybe the crowd as well. So on comes Bobby Wood, who did score against Colombia the other night. His 13th goal for his country, that. And here's the Sargent goal from a well-worked, well-rehearsed free-kick routine. Acosta, Sargent had pulled into space. He knew where that ball was coming. and made it count. Little deflection on the way, but really good goal, and that's the one that has put the USA ahead in this game. He'll enjoy that 18. You're going to hear a lot more about him. Josh Sargent. And from another set piece taken by Acosta, a corner kick that goes an awful long way. The goalkeeper is able to grab it okay. Carvalho. Here's Loyola for the Peruvians. Cut out again by Trapp there, doing exactly the job he's in there to do. Costa, that one's a loose one. That's more like what we were seeing in the first half.
Yeah, I think we still have seen 3 or 4 of those balls that you just can't get away with that at the international level. The square ball that's not hit with enough pace, and now it puts you on your heels defensively.
Yotun with the effort. Bounced in front of Guzan. They had to watch it. Guzan now playing for Atlanta, who've had a, well, wonderful standout season. They're already in the playoffs. They're leading in the East.
Yotun's been probably the only bright spot for Orlando City in Major League Soccer. But Ian, you and I were talking about him. I thought he was arguably Peru's best player in the World Cup.
Yeah, he's highly regarded and much valued by the coach Gareca, and they will be strengthened having him in that midfield. There's no question about that. Costa is down injured for the moment. The ball will be hit out of play. That gives me a chance to remind you this Sunday at 6:25 a.m. Eastern, ESPN2 is your home for Serie A. Frosinone hosting Empoli from the Stadio Benito Stirpe in Frosinone, Italy. Coverage beginning at 6:25 in the morning Eastern time on ESPN2. Streaming live on the ESPN app as well if you can get up that early. And a lot of Serie A action for you with ESPN. So Costa's injury happened like this. Oof. Unhappy landing. But he's okay again. He's long to get it away. Bobby Wood involved for the first time. The young man from Hawaii. Nothing doing for him that time.
It's going to be interesting to see, though, the Bobby Wood that returns to Hanover. Ian, he's got 2 goals in his last couple of games, right? So
he got 2 in one game, actually. Right. Two in one game, the last game against Stuttgart.
Right, and we've seen Bobby Wood, when he gets hot, he can turn it on, and he's got that confidence, and we saw it against Colombia. Like, you know, Bobby Wood's still another player. He's only 25 years old, so if he gets hot, he's streaky, as we've seen throughout his career. But when you look at his national team numbers, isn't it interesting to see the goals per minute? Don't you have that?
Yeah. Minutes per goal.
Yep.
He scored a goal every 193 minutes for the USA. That is better than Clint Dempsey or Landon Donovan. Of course, stats can prove a lot of things, but that's one that's certainly in his favour, Bobby Wood. I think you're right, though. He's been a bit moody, hasn't he? Sometimes hot, sometimes not so hot. But he has scored some quite big goals along the way. Reina. Reina wants it back again and gets it back again. Wearing gloves on this chilly October night. Out to Loyola. I think the Peruvian coach Gareca will want to see more end product than he's getting. That's a lovely ball back though from Flores to Reina, who danced into a bit of space. Back in again by Madrid, the man who's come on to make his debut at right back. This is not a bad defensive display, this, from the US. I tell you what, Aaron Long isn't doing badly back there in the center of defense on his debut. He really isn't. Not so far, anyway. Lots of red shirts waiting in the penalty area. Here's Yotun. Flores was looking for the 1-2. Peru looking to move through the gears. Making some nice passes. Delgado, good tracking back though. Very aware of where the fire might be about to start.
Yeah, and I do think, Ian, you hit the nail on the head. Just collectively, the United States, especially the two center backs, have been on point. When Aaron Long wants to step in, there's a little cover, there's a little balance, whether it's Will Trapp stepping in. Ben Sweat's always been off that back left shoulder of Aaron Long, with Cannon being on the right shoulder of Cameron Carter-Vickers. All in all, defensively, the back four have had a decent night. Now, part of that, too, though, is what you said. Peru gets in these moments.
Oh, off the underside of the bar and away, and then Rui Diaz over. Wow, that was a let-off for the USA. First of all, Andy Polo's power driver off the bar, and then Rui Diaz couldn't put in the rebound.
Andy Polo had a lively first half. We've seen very little of him in the second half, and I was literally just going to say Peru has struggled in the final 25, 22 yards with their ideas. Well, you don't need any idea if you've got that technique and that ability to hit a ball from 30 yards out. What a strike from Andy Polo.
Guzan didn't sniff it. And the US broke a little bit lucky, because that's one of those that could have bounced down and hit Guzan's back and gone back in. You've seen that a million times, but it didn't this time. Fortune favoring the US there. Ben Sweat getting that one away. 15 minutes to go. Peru have made a bit of a habit of losing leads in one or two of their games since the World Cup. Little ball there, Yotun. Reina to play it inside. Loyola with the shot. US getting the block here, but they're putting more and more men forward. There will be things on the break if the US can get it right. Here's Julian Green looking to orchestrate such a break.
Yeah, but that's great work from Julian Green. It's a little thing. Were there any options, real options going forward? No, but the ability to keep possession, take the sting right out of the pressure that Peru's putting on you. Now you have possession. It's a little thing, but good work from Julian Green there.
Carter-Vickers. Here's Reggie Cannon. Then Marky Delgado. A lot of these names new, of course, to the whole US setup. They've just given it away there a bit needlessly in the middle of the pitch. Gets harder now. Cannon's intercepted. There might be something. Green gets his head up, looks, assesses all the options. Wood cutting it back. His Sweat. Well, that would have been amazing if he'd scored on his first start in the US shirt, a left back.
Yeah, but this play starts from Reggie Cannon's recognition that when Kellen Acosta loses possession, he's got to be there immediately. When he does win possession, now you've got Green, Wood, and Acosta going forward.
And there might be other things like that in counterattacks for the US here, because Peru are throwing a lot of red shirts forward. Yet another change, and just to steady things, Michael Bradley to come on here for Kellen Acosta. Bradley coming on for his 142nd cap. Acosta going off with an injury. This cap for Bradley, by the way, puts him ahead of Clint Dempsey in terms of appearances for the US.
And it was ever since this injury, Kellen Acosta hasn't been moving right. He's been grabbing that left hip. He hasn't been moving right. Michael Bradley coming in, what is it, 142 caps?
Yeah, that's third of all time. Back by Delgado, who I think's had a pretty solid game. So the two Toronto men are in there now, Bradley and Delgado as part of that midfield, along with Trapp.
The United States right now need a little bit more from Timothy Weah. When they win possession, he's looking for that home run ball, that killer ball in behind every single time. And I think at times, right there's a good example. Marky Delgado just needed someone to play the ball into his feet and kill some of the pressure they're under.
Loyola. Here's Yotun, who's seeing a lot of the ball predictably since he came on to become the midfield general. Give me it again, he says. This is him. Inside by Edison Flores. Wide by Pena. Deep cross, and that's good enough from Cannon. It was a painful fall for him at the end of it.
The momentum of this game has changed over the last 5-6 minutes. Peru throwing a ton of numbers forward, putting a ton of pressure on this back line of the United States. An inexperienced back line that's going to grow up very quickly over the next 10 to 12 minutes here.
Back in by Yotun. It's a little bit tired, really, from Loyola, and exactly what the US needed. A little bit of breathing space. Doesn't look happy, does he? The coach, Gareca, he once scored a goal for Argentina, which meant that Peru didn't qualify for the 1986 World Cup. But I don't think he's in any hurry to remind everybody about that back in Lima. Older fans will remember it. He's done a great job as the Peru coach, and he's a bit of a national hero because of that. Yotun. Game's fascinatingly poised at the moment. It really is. It's a significant test, this, for the US, and they put on a much tighter display than we saw against Colombia. As part of the game is knowing how to close the show.
Yeah, but look at the subs they've also brought in. They've brought in some experience with Bobby Wood and Michael Bradley coming into this game. So Dave Sarachan looking for a little leadership in this moment.
Remember, this is a Peruvian squad with about 3 times as many caps.
The referee is giving the bench, some of the bench players here of Peru, a yellow card.
Yeah. Not sure which one. I won't have to check that one later, but certainly one of the subs got a yellow card for whatever antics he was involved in there, in encroaching, I guess, or maybe something said. I don't know. Yotun's going to take it. Goes a long way. Again, the defending is good enough. I'll tell you what, I think Cameron Carter-Vickers
exactly
had a fine
who
game.
It was. That's exactly who it was on that ball. What a ball in from Yotun, by the way.
We're told it was Christian Cueva who picked up the yellow card on the sideline, so we've got spies everywhere. Thank you very much indeed, whoever worked that out that quickly. Rain out from a long way out, and they're peppering the goal from that range now. One hit the bar, that one further off target.
Dave Sarachan looking to call on some more experience with DeAndre Yedlin coming into this one. That's Jordi Urania's second or third opportunity from about 20 yards out.
I'll tell you one thing I like about that European League of Nations. They only have 3 substitutes. I mean, this becomes, I don't know, I think this is becoming outdated. This idea that you can make 6 substitutions is kind of crazy, I think, and does disrupt the rhythm of games. And I don't know, I think it might be something that ends quite quickly and pretty soon now. So we're going to see DeAndre Yedlin coming on. Now an experienced old campaigner, really. 56th cap for the Newcastle United defender. Bobby Wood with the fresh legs. Sweat joining the attack, tries to find way up. And no way through that time. Bobby Wood it is, again. Just a little bit of competition for those forward places. I guess Josie Altidore would be part of that argument. Of course, still to come back in is Christian Pulisic, the poster boy of US soccer, who's only played once for the team in the last year because of a series of injuries. But the last couple have just been minor injuries that have kept him out the last 2 squads. But his latest injury, a calf injury, just came at the wrong time for him not to be involved again this time.
And I think that's got to be, for the United States soccer national team, the brass, whether it's the Ernie Stewarts of the world. When you look at it, that's the only thing that I would say is a little disappointing, is the sense that those injuries have just hurt the chance of McKennie, Adams, Pulisic, all 3 of those players to play together. We haven't seen them play together yet.
It's a bit daft. Here's Rayner. I think he was thinking about another shot there. Played wide by Polo. Now Madrid. Trying to work the angles. Yotun. That US defense is holding firm so far. Jordi Reyna plays it to Edison Flores, goes for the return, but there's a blue shirt in the way again. And now the clock ticks round towards 85 minutes. The US will feel they're in the home straight. Polo. Getting its cut out trap. There's not what the US players or coach wanted to see, or fans. Nilson Loyola to Jordi Reyna, who plays for Vancouver Whitecaps. Got 5 goals in MLS this season. Not to mention some red and yellow cards along the way. He's a feisty individual. He needed green to win that, he couldn't. He's coming back again. Cut it towards Rui Diaz, and there surely will be a goal now. And there is a goal from Flores to put Peru level. Late equaliser, and the US defence is breached at last.
And I'm watching the conversation between Marky Delgado and DeAndre Yedlin right now. But when this ball is played across, if you are the opposite side fullback, your first responsibility, and keep an eye on Marky Delgado and DeAndre Yedlin in this relationship, because as Peru breaks this down, look at where Yedlin is. He's covering the back post. You cannot get caught sleeping and expect Marky Delgado to cover that. That is not on Cameron Carter-Vickers. It's a great ball across, but if DeAndre Yedlin is on his toes reacting to the play, this ball is out for a throw-in, it's out for a corner, and the United States are winning 1-0. That is lackadaisical defending from DeAndre Yedlin, in my opinion.
And that's where the substitution and the disorganization, just changing the defense, didn't help at all. Not at all.
Yeah, but whether it's substitution or not, Ian, you and I would, safe to say, that's fundamental defending, of understanding where you are situationally and where you are in the field.
Peru level, and now they'll think they can go on and win this one late on. It'll be a harsh lesson for the US. Player down injured. Doesn't seem too interested in Weah's inquiries about his health. But that was a bad moment. I think Taylor's analysis spot on there. DeAndre Yedlin just caught napping pretty soon after coming onto the pitch. Just for the period where he's looking to pick up the pace of the game. Peru had hit the bar, but they hadn't really created too much in open play until that. From their point of view, well worked. Edison Flores getting the goal. His 10th for his country. Here's Yotun to pick it up. He's starting to make a few things happen. Reyna plays it wide. Polo.
What a touch that was. And I want to go back to the goal. The play starts here with Julian Green not getting into a tackle, right? So because Julian Green doesn't get into the tackle, now it allows Peru to push numbers forward. But look at Delgado and DeAndre Yedlin. What do they say about assuming? You can never assume that that's covered, especially when you are the opposite side fullback. This is a great look. That is 100% on DeAndre Yedlin to see that play out, and he knows it.
It's one of those things where needed to stay alert, have wing mirrors, be understanding of what was going on behind. And Peru now, they've got the bit between their teeth. They sense now they can turn defeat into victory. Corner kick. This is tough for the US now, who are almost reaching out for the final whistle. This is the last minute of the 90. Here goes the corner kick. Well defending by Long. It's coming back in again. This time Bradley manages to get something on it. Reyna hooks it forward. That won't be a problem for Brad Guzan. And the US's attitude to this now has to be, well, if we can't win the game, let's make sure we don't lose it. Yedlin with a header. 3 minutes of added time there'll be. And this time it's a loose ball from Delgado. It's bad habits just starting to kick in a little bit again as Ben Sweat makes an important challenge there to deny Johan Madrid. Another change coming up here, and one of the first choice players, one who played in the Premier League pretty recently, Andre Carrillo, to come on. He scored in the World Cup against Australia. Carrillo in Peru's only win in Russia, to be replacing Andy Polo here. Polo, the player, hit the bar. Taking a bit of time to make this substitution. It's not in any particular hurry. Maybe just picked up a little bit of a knock, maybe. So in comes Carrillo, usually plays on the right. It's Reyna, the official on that side, has spotted an infringement. The US have to stop arguing and get back to their defensive positions here. This is an uncomfortable period of stoppage time now for the US. Another change, Anthony Robinson to come on to replace Timothy Weah. Might not even get a kick in what little time is remaining, the Wigan Athletic defender. A lot of time was spent at practice yesterday on exactly this kind of thing, defending these sort of free kicks by the US, and it's vital they defend this one right as Peru flood the area. Guzan had to be quite acrobatic to punch it away. It's a corner as the nervy climax to the game continues for the US. This time Peru go the short route, and it didn't work for them. New team plays it inside. Aquino spread it to Madrid. Aquino wants it back again. Referee has a look at his watch but doesn't blow. Is there one last chance left in this? Aquino. And then Flores, and that might be that because that's wide. And Brad Guzan won't be in any hurry to take that goal kick, I think, now.
No, but this is a good play here from Brad Guzan because this is a difficult spot. That ball's floated back post. He read it all the way. And the one thing I've seen from Brad Guzan in his time in Atlanta, a little more than 12 months here, is his feet have gotten better. We've seen a couple instances of that tonight, Ian. His feet have definitely gotten better.
He wants to go on for a long time yet as well. That is the final whistle. It's a draw in the end. 1-1 here. The US got to within 5 minutes of getting what would have been a bit of a shock victory, in truth, but not quite able to hold on. One moment of being switched off at the back in an otherwise good defensive display. Josh Sargent getting a good US goal to put them in front from a training ground routine. And then an equaliser from Edison Flores 5 minutes from time to give Peru the draw. Quite a bit to build on. A little bit of encouragement for the US one way and another tonight. A lot still to learn, clearly. But in the end, I think a creditable result to hold Peru to a 1-1 draw here in East Hartford, Connecticut. We'll wrap things up here in just a moment. Don't go away. Plenty of reactions still to come here to this 1-1 draw between the United States of America and Peru here in Connecticut tonight. In Minnesota for that one. Coverage begins at 3 Eastern on ESPN, and both matches streaming live on the ESPN app. So there's a reminder of the scoreline tonight. Good game, interesting one. Josh Sargent, only 18, got the US goal, and he is with Seb now.
Thanks, Ian. Josh, you get the goal in the second half. Walk me through the play.
Yeah, it's a little something we were working on the training ground before this game, but yeah, I just curled around the defenders as they ran to the first post, and I picked my spot up.
I saw Dave Sarakin say something to you as you exited the field. Was it about that play? What was it?
Yeah, he said I owe him the assist since he drew that play up.
This may well be Dave Sarakin's final game in charge of the national team. What's your experience been like playing under him?
Yeah, he's been a great coach to us. He's done a good job getting us ready for these friendlies, and I wish him all the best going forward.
Josh, congratulations on the goal. Thanks again for your time. Appreciate it.
I think that will not be the last interview you'll hear with Josh Sargent. He's still learning the game, but he's clearly got something, hasn't he, Taylor?
He does, but the United States, the question still remains. In the run of play, how many chances can they create? How many chances will they do through possession, building out of the back? And the answer, Ian, is very few. Tonight, how did they score the goal? Set piece. What was majority of the game? Defending and looking for the counter. At some point, the United States at the international level has to have the ability to keep possession and in the run of play create chances. Otherwise, you're going to ask me after every game, what's your final thought? And I'm just going to push the button and repeat what I just said.
Talking of defense, 3 words: Cameron Carter-Vickers
and Aaron Long. I think they had strong showings tonight.
Thanks a lot, Taylor. Taylor Twellman. So it is 1-1 here in East Hartford, Connecticut. Coming up next, it'll be ESPN FC. Thanks for joining us here tonight. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you again very soon at Wembley against England. Bye for now.